Fred here, welcome back to the Gear Obsession channel. In this episode, I will be doing a review on the Kershaw OD-1 model number 1775. Please stay tuned. You know, I've had this knife for a very long time, and I actually thought that I reviewed it, but I didn't, because I had picked up the Kershaw OD-2 to do a review, and I was going to do a comparison to the OD-1, and I went back to look for my videos, and I couldn't find it, so that's why we are doing the review of the OD-1. It's still on sale. I didn't see it on the Kershaw website, so they might have discontinued it, and this is really a great knife, so if they discontinued it, it's only going to be available new in stores, whatever stock they have left. So you might want to pick one up if you like what you see here. Now, there are three things that really stand out about this particular knife. The first thing is that thing that's sort of sticking up on the top here. See that's your flipper, and what that enables this sucker to do is to come out in lightning speed. Look at that. It comes out just as fast, if not faster, than a switchblade or completely automatic knife there. It just flies out. And the reason why it does that is because you're only moving this 90 degrees. It's going from the up position to the back position, but your blade is coming out there 180 degrees. So you sort of have some, it's sort of like a shift in overdrive, from quarter motion here is translating to a half there. In order to pull this off and still be smooth, this blade has to be able to come in and out very smoothly, which it is very, very smooth. So this flipper is one of the things that really stands out. Now, the next thing that stands out about this knife, and some people freak out about this because, let me backtrack a little bit. They'll see this in the clamshell pack. It comes in both box and clamshell, and they'll see this G10 scale. That's what it has, a G10 scale, not scales, because the other side, it's missing, man. They forgot to put the scale on the other side. Well, that's just the way it's designed. So you only get one G10 scale, and on the other side is 410 stainless steel. So your liners there is 410. And actually, this is a frame lock, part of the frame here. So that's another thing that sort of stands out. And then the last thing that stands out is something that's a Kershaw exclusive, and that's this particular blade steel. And we'll talk about that here in a minute. So again, if I didn't mention it, this is a Lee Williams design. He is the designer of this knife. Now, the function of this knife, or POU, purpose of use, would probably be a everyday carry type of knife that could be easily pressed into a defensive role. A lot of defensive blades are sort of like this, nice straight edge with a very pronounced drop point like this. Some of them actually get all the way flat here on the bottom, and then they're sort of almost like a sheep's foot type of design. So it's very close to some of the defensive knives blade shape. But again, this is everyday carry. You'll find it just under 3 inches. We'll talk about that here in a second as we go down the specifications. So it's pretty good for that. So specifications are as follows. We have Swedish steel. Even though it's made in the USA, the steel is exclusive to Kershaw. It's a Swedish Sandvik 14C28N stainless steel. It's basically a upgrade of the Sandvik 13C26, which is razor blade steel. So this already, as the 13C26 is able to get as sharp as a razor blade, and then they went ahead and exclusively did some work for Kershaw and upgraded this steel to the 14C28N. And what they did was they introduced nitrogen into the metallurgy of this knife to go ahead and sort of mess around with chromium and carbon levels. I don't want to get into specifics because I am not a metallurgist. But what they have achieved here was increased corrosion resistance and a very hard steel, which is somewhere between 58 and 60 on the Hardwell Rockwell scale, or Rockwell hardness scale. So it's a very hard steel. This steel has the ability to sharpen to a hair splitting razor edge. It's unbelievable, and it holds it pretty good. It'll hold that razor edge really good, but once it starts going, then it's going to go quicker than, let's say, your S 30V type steels, which this is compared a lot to. But if I had to classify the steel, I'd put it over the 440 series, but underneath all the modern day super steels. So really good steel for your money. Now the grind on this is a high hollow grind, and what I mean by hollow is that the blade sort of, and it's hard to do this at this angle, but it's sort of like that. Here's the edge down here, and it sort of curves into that edge. You'll have your flat, and then you have your hollow grind, and that's what this is. This is a hollow grind. I say it's high because it comes up all the way pretty close to the top here, and you're left with some flat area. So if you have a sharpening system that has to clamp on, it could clamp on and maintain the proper angle. So that's a pretty good blade to have. And again, this is a drop point. This is a frame lock, and you can see on the side that's missing the scale. You could actually see that frame lock right here. I prefer frame locks. I believe, in my personal opinion, that the frame lock is stronger than the liner lock, although not as strong as the lock back. So I kind of feel it's superior to the liner lock, but that is very debatable. That's my opinion. You do get a lanyard hole here, right there. You could get 550 cord through there. You might have to coax a little bit to get it through, but it will get through there. You get a single G10 scale. It does have some traction. I would say it's about a medium. It's not crazy sticky like, let's say, cold steel, but it's not slick either. And on the other side, you got the 440 steel. Some people are going to get turned off by that right off the bat, and some people are very disappointed when they open this knife out of the clam pack and find that it only has one G10 scale, so be aware of that. You get a clip here, and that clip is mounted for a tip down carry out of the box, but you can change it over to tip up carry, but it's only right-handed only. As you can see, there's no holes for that clip on the other side. The blade length is 2 5/16 inches long, so it's under 3 inches. So if you're in a state where they get touchy about blades that are over 3 inches, this is safely under that length. So this might be a very comfortable choice for you. The closed length of this, it gets nice and compact down to 4 1/8 inches, and it weighs 3.4 ounces. It feels like it has quite a bit of weight, but it really isn't. And if it's really easy to carry. It's very thin. It's not that heavy, but it's solid. It's not like light and feels cheap. It's light, but somehow it feels heavy because it's, strong. It's kind of hard to describe. So that's the specifications. Moving on, next, let's check out the knife, make sure that the build quality is good. As you can see, the blade centering is impeccable. It's right there, dead center in the middle. For lockup, we have no up and down play, no side to side play. And the frame lock is right where you want it to be, right, behind the blade, but there is room for it to wear to your right. It can wear a little bit. You don't want out of the box this, where the B-liner frame lock, to be all the way pressed up against this side, because that means there's no room left for it to wear as the metal sort of rubs on the back of the blade here. So it's right where you want it to be. Now, if you want to adjust the pivot screw of this, you're going to have to remove the clip if you leave it where it's positioned out of the box, but it is adjustable. And the build construction of this is all Torx screws here. So you have Torx, and of course you have a Torx pivot screw. You have Torx screws holding the clip. Next we have washers. Now I had mention that this is very, very smooth, and one of the reasons is it has bronze washers, or it appears to look like bronze washers when I look down there with a flashlight. It's not the cheap Teflon washers, and usually when you get a better knife, you get the bronze type washers, not the Teflon washers, and that really helps in smoothing out the knife. It's just it's buttery smooth. I think the only knives that I've had that are smoother than this are the ones that have the ball bearing system. So very good job. The other weird thing about this is that you can see there's a spacer here, but it's only partial, like 50%. So it's 50% open, 50% spacer. The spacer feels like it's made out of G10, but I'm really guessing it's just what it feels like. So you can sort of clean it out a little bit, but it's not total flow through design there. It's not pillow design. It's partial spacer. Really kind of weird. All right, guess what time it is? It is time for the paper test. Yay! Moving on. Paper test. Just comes out wicked fast. Ain't that crazy? We'll go ahead and do a nice slow. Like I said, this thing is so razor sharp. It's so smooth. It's incredible. So, of course, it cuts paper out of the box very, very well. Now, I do have some cons for this knife. One is there's no little choil right here. And I call it a sharpening choil, but if you don't have a choil here, then when you're sharpening it on your stone, you'll have a tendency to start rubbing this part of the shoulder of the blade that's not where the edge stops onto the edge of the stone, so you'll inadvertently mess that up right there, the shoulder, or you'll rub that against the corner or the edge of your stone, which is not good either. So I like to have that little notch right there, or choil right there, right where the shoulder ends and the edge starts. Right there, it should be right there. Other cons is that the clip cannot be mounted on the side for left-handed carry. That's a big downer for 15% of us Americans. Or actually, I'm sorry, I should apologize. 15% of our citizens of the world, because I am talking to folks from many different countries, awesome countries. Next is that there's not much on this handle to keep your hand, if you don't get a good grip, from slipping onto the blade while stabbing. You don't have a deep finger choil here. You don't have any jimping. Traction is medium. So if you really start doing some serious stabbing, if you don't have a good grip on this, your hand, there's not much to stop it from slipping onto this plain edge. Reverse grip is fairly comfortable. If this were rounded just a little bit more, it would be very comfortable. So I give the reverse grip satisfactory. It's not outstanding, and the normal grip is pretty comfortable for such a thin knife. But the pros, let's talk about that. I always say the best for last. It deploys just so wicked fast. This flipper is just, and I just cut my mat here. It's just wicked fast. Very, very fast deployment. Also, although it's wicked fast and it'll scare the crap out of people if you do flip it out fast, while it's sitting there on its own, not doing anything, it's rather subdued. It's not intimidating in any way. So if you have friends or coworkers that are sensitive about tactical, mean-looking knives, this is a subdued knife with a neat little flipper feature, which would sort of make it interesting and less intimidating. It's very thin. It makes it very easy to carry all day long at 3.4 ounces, and being so thin, you'd barely know that you have it there until you stick your hand in your pocket or you throw coins in there and they're banging up against it. You would forget that you had this in your pocket. The clip is not very long, so it doesn't, show itself off that much, although it's very strong. It's just the right strength, the tension to hold it pretty secure. And because you have this metal here, it doesn't really it won't tear your pants up, your pocket up, taking it in and out. So pretty good. Build quality is very, very good. As a matter of fact, I'll give it an excellent. It's made very, very good. You know, the Kershaw knives, the very inexpensive, very expensive, the very cheap ones, they're not, you know, their build quality is good compared to other knives in the range. But when you start getting up to the price point of this particular one, Kershaw really gives you your money's worth. And this really shows off the great build quality that Kershaw can give you for the price. And the price for this runs about $45. So, you know, you better get them while they're still available because I think they might have stopped making them. And it's really a great knife. By the way, made in the USA. Right there. And you can see they have the model number written on there too. And I'll go ahead and just give you a very slow pass so you could go ahead and look at the details really quick. You know, I bought this camera to give you the capability of seeing all this stuff in detail. You can see those scales, medium texture. There's the other side. Now, in some tests, I break out the piece of wood and do a good test, but I'll tell you, the handle not being, you know, able to keep your hand from slipping, or the scales or whatever you want to call them, I'm not comfortable taking the chance. And not only that, this particular blade is for light to light medium use. It's not really something that you should be prying, stabbing into wood and things like that. This is for cutting open boxes and doing your light work, cutting cord, and you know, you could slice somebody if you had to defend yourself, and that's really it. I wouldn't go ahead and push this much further. So now to rate this knife, I not only take into account all my personal experience with it and opinions, but I also go online and look at ratings and everything. And as far as what people are rating it out there, they're rating it at about a 9 out of 10 on the internet. If you look at Amazon and all the other knife stores and what the users say about it. And personally, I'm sort of floating somewhere between an 8 and a 9. So I'm going to give it a light 9 out of 10 for the rating. And I definitely would highly recommend it, especially if you can get it on sale, of course. Again, thank you very, very much for joining me here at the Gear Obsession channel for another episode. I really appreciate every friend, viewer, subscriber, and you. And I hope you have a great evening. I will see you Friday.